Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you for coming to the channel. Alright, this is the 12-gallon rimless, what I call partial blackwater aquarium. I might need a new name for that. It's really just a planted tank with some botanicals in it. But be that as it may, the creatures that reside in here favor blackwater a great deal, starting with these nice big fat healthy neon tetras. They're actually good in almost any tank setting because there's so much aquarium raised and mass produced, etc. But their intuition, if that's the right word, and it isn't, rather in their DNA, is to be in a blackwater kind of swamp situation. But moreover, I have licorice gouramis in here. That's not one, that's a Pygmy Coreodoros, but there's a licorice gourami. Do you see him? With the black slate, the yellow stripe, and the beautiful blue piping. They look like sports cars, but trust me, they're anything but fast. They look like little sleek racing cars, but they hover and hoover and are actually pretty slow when it comes to getting food. So they prefer live food, extensively live food, and sometimes that's a chore because these guys are ravenous and they devour. But if I'm putting baby brine shrimp in here, which is definitely a favorite of the licorice gouramis, really any fish, but there's so many of them when I squirt in a bunch of live ones that everybody gets a shot. There's another licorice gourami down here. That could be a female because it's more pronounced in the yellow coloring, whereas the male of this particular variety tends to favor the jet black or darker charcoal. Another resident in this tank is the Morse code tetra, and there's one right there. You see the little dash 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 on the side? That's why they're named, as well as the flickering, you see the fin down there, the pelvic fin. Either one of those reasons make it a great namesake, and both of them, it's crazy. They're timid fish as well, but I have a small group of them, the neon tetras, and then about 5 or 6 of these licorice gouramis. My favorite feature in this tank is the incredible root structure from the pothos up here. Just these plants here have created this much root structure, and now you can see it's already finding its way into the substrate. And I'm inclined to leave it, although I'm not sure what the long-term consequences of those roots going as far down as they can, eventually maybe pulling the plant down with it. I don't know, but it's so awesome and so beautiful. One of my favorite features if you're trying to spawn fish, and I'm not, but this would be an ideal setting. Just the aesthetic though, so cool. So cool, in fact, that I put this little hockey puck LED. You can get them on Amazon for like 12 bucks, if not less. And it's on a little timer, and so when these lights go off, that'll stay on, and it creates kind of this really sort of sunset effect through the root structure, and I just think that's so wonderful. I've got Anubias epiphytes working their way along the petrified wood there, and then a piece of bogwood comprising the hardscape. And you saw the pothos, you see the frog bit. There's also some Brazilian pennywort that is planted in the ground, not that it matters anymore, and I trim it back quite a bit, and you can see it reaching over here. And if I let it get too crazy, it'll take over. That's what it does. And since I have so many other dominant plants, I do want to keep it somewhat in check. I have a dwarf tiger lotus right here. I clipped off the biggest leaves, and I hope that wasn't a mistake, because the ones that are left only look so-so, but maybe that nice luscious green one down there towards the back is indicative of a healthy plant. They're pretty hardy. I'm not too worried about it. There's crypt parva in here, and I love how it's able to wrestle its way through the botanicals. You see the ram's horn snails. They like this aquarium. I have to catch some out. I don't want too many. And speaking of snails, this is why people, well, first of all, look at that beautiful pink ram's horn, the most desirable color in the ram's horn strain, with the red foot and the pink shell. But these white spots, these unseemly white spots, are, as a lot of you know, the eggs from a Nite snail. Now, I have Nites in here. Nite snails are perhaps the most beautiful snail. I don't know where my adult is in this tank, probably in the back somewhere, but I know he was here because, or she, I should say, they lay these eggs which are doomed. They cannot hatch in fresh water, and so they will litter your hardscape or your glass. And honestly, I mean, a few here or there on the bogwood is fine by me, and that's gonna happen, and it's good that it's fine by me because they're a pain in the butt to get off. I will show you how I do get it off, moving my hand. Let me just get this in frame. Your little algae scraper with the razor blade right here, and you just boom, ba-doo, and there they go. It's pretty satisfying, don't you think? Just knock them off. But you see, the little white stain is actually the part of the sticky stuff that the snail uses to adhere these eggs. If you can see how a razor blade on glass is struggling. Not really, but somewhat struggling. I've been doing it as I'm talking. Imagine when they're tucked into your driftwood. You can't do this, so you kind of just live with it. And some people, you know, hardcore aquascapers, they love Nite snails, but they don't like the, whoop, I missed a few. Boom, boom. It's kind of like shaving. It is satisfying, I will say that. These eggs will just fall to the bottom, and who knows, they might be a food source because of the potential calcium or whatnot that's in them. But they disappear once you knock them off, and there you go, voila, a clean slate. But Nite snails, that's a knock against them. They do lay those eggs. The eggs never hatch. They need brackish water or salt water in order to fulfill their life cycle. The snail is fine in fresh water, and they lay eggs in fresh water, but that's it. So you have to knock them off. That's the knock on that snail. Obviously, the bonus is you don't get a crap ton of snails like I do with ram's horns. There's a couple there and a bunch more. You see how many there are? That won't happen with Nite snails. So, you know, the beautiful way a Nite snail looks, plus their inability to overpopulate your tank, probably outweigh the negative of laying those really tough to remove eggs, at least in my book. Now, I was reluctant to put Nite snails in all my tanks for that very reason. I didn't want to look at a bunch of eggs stuck on, and there you see some right there. Speak of the devil. Those white eggs, you know, I can go in there with tools and knock them off one by one. It's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do it. And I didn't want to have to do that all the time. As it is, keeping a fish room has enough chores. So if I can live with the eggs and they look kind of natural, great. These eggs look like white alien spheres. They don't look natural, and you know, I don't want to look at them, and they're not going to hatch, and they will accumulate over time, kind of like pigeons or something. So they have to be reckoned with. And if you're, you know, looking at some beautiful aquascape that you spent all kinds of time putting together, even a jungle aquarium where it's a hodgepodge, those white balls are just out of place, in my opinion. But as I showed you, they can easily be dealt with on the glass, and if they become sort of hidden within your hardscape, who cares? All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video, got something out of it. As always, I appreciate your support, and as I like to say, always keep your hands in the tank, and ciao for now.